Welcome back, everybody, to my podcast. My name is Johnny, and I'm your host for today. I have a very cool guest with me today, Jimmy Allen. What's going on, dude?
And not too much, man. Just like another day cranking away on the dream and the vision and the mission. So
Dude, that's
this is
awesome.
it. Yeah.
So, for everyone who's watching today, Jimmy, I say a very cool guest because when he was 18, I feel like you just kind of worked your way to the top without really knowing it. Um, got an intern with ClickFunnels when you were a teenager. And funny enough, your brother-in-law is Todd Dickerson, who is a co-founder of ClickFunnels with Russell
Mhm.
Brunson. So mind blown,
Yeah.
dude. That's incredible. So,
Yeah.
and I know over the last 10 years, you've been working with ClickFunnels and helping your own clients make a lot more money, get more freedom, enjoy their lives a lot more, make better connections. So I think what you're doing is incredible, dude, because you help people, I help people. So that's why we're here, man. Talk about you and your journey. So tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of what you do.
Yeah. Well, you covered a lot, actually. Like it's weird because like that whole being 18 years old and like the internship thing was like it was before ClickFunnels existed. And it was like Russell and Todd, they're doing this thing, like the thing that ClickFunnels does as a platform, they were doing it, but then they one day they were like, we should make software that makes this really easy to be able to do. So all the way back then, I was learning about like how to build a web application, how to write code, how to design stuff in Photoshop, how to splice up Photoshop documents for web and HTML. So it's like all the things that like was like old school how to build funnels and sell stuff online. I was learning all the way back then. And then the
Uh,
idea for ClickFunnels came along and it was like everything changed because now it's like this point and click drag and drop software does all the hard complex stuff for me. That freed up entrepreneurs like me to go out and like help others who wanted to go sell stuff online and transform people's lives and drive a lot of impact in the marketplace. Like now they didn't need a coder, a designer, a copywriter, or anything like that. There was literally software that would go and do like 90% of the work for them. So now you can get paid based on your creativity and your action and implementation instead of like having to work with all these different parties in order to get a message out to the marketplace. That's that's where everything changed for me. And
that's wild.
leading between there and like where I'm at now has been, I would say like I probably like lived a lifetime in the last decade, which is pretty crazy. Like I've when we did launch the ClickFunnels platform, I was the first tech support agent because there was literally like there was an email inbox that was like support@clickfunnels.com and that
Mm.
nobody was really answering. And so Todd tapped my shoulder and he was like, "Hey, like you've been messing around with the software a lot, right? Like we've been like, can you jump in and like answer some of these questions and like I'll pay you some money?" I was like, "Sure, that sounds great." So I
Yeah.
did that, and then the next thing was like, okay, well now we've got all these billing inquiries, like can you come help? And then that led to me like kind of running our billing department for a little bit of time. And then Russell tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Hey, I'm looking for like a funnel building assistant. Like, do you want to come help me?" And I'm like, "Yes, I want to come help you. Absolutely, Russell." So I did that with him for a
I
period
think
of
if
time. And
Russell
then,
asks you to do anything, you're like, yes, sir.
yeah, it literally doesn't matter. Like, here's my car keys. Like, here's the deed to my home. Like, but
Please.
the other half is like, not just because because he's practically like famous in the like business and marketing world at this point, but also because of his character and like who he is. Like I know that person, that human very, very well. Like the intimacy and trust level there is very, very high. So I just know that like no matter what I hand Russell, it's going to come back magnified, amplified, done, turn the dial up to 11 because that's who he is. He's
Yeah.
very honorable and trustworthy. So yeah, I don't just say that like, yeah, Russell, like, yeah, have whatever because like you're famous. It's like, no, like that's a good human being. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um the next steps basically were like I helped launch and deploy and manage a certification program that was really, really massive. I turned to product management and started working on like the different features and functions of the software to make it better for our customers.
Yeah.
And ultimately that led to kind of like the product growth related position that I'm into today, where I get to kind of look at what is going to really turn the dial for our customers, make it super easy to get the tool, adopt the tool, and then launch their message out to the marketplace so that they find success using the platform.
Mm.
Now, it's software, and software is sometimes it's buggy, sometimes it's glitchy, sometimes it's confusing. And so what my job is to like make sure that everybody who signs in or signs up for an account and signs in can find a win and find success
Yeah.
and move
Yeah.
their mission along as best as possible. So,
Yeah. It sounds like
yeah.
what you're doing to people who are not very familiar with ClickFunnels or online marketing. It sounds like what you're doing is very complicated. I think you said a lot of big words that not a lot of people know about.
Oh,
So
okay.
could you take like 30 seconds just to like dumb it down for some of our viewers here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's one of the problems that I have a lot of times. It's like this curse of knowledge. If you did something for a decade
Curse
and
of
then you,
knowledge. How humble.
yeah, literally. Um, or like what was it in Marvel with like Thanos? He's talking to Tony Stark and he's like, "You're not the only one plagued with knowledge." Like, because he's basically like, "Okay, we've known about each other without knowing each other for so long, right?"
Yeah.
But anyways, um, so I have this curse of knowledge because it's something that I've been doing for a decade. And when you take an expert and put them in a room with someone who's a novice, they're not going to speak the same language. And I actually that's something I work on very, very hard to try to eliminate. So I'm very glad that you caught that. Thank you. So what this software does is it's hosted on a website. You sign in and you get to build your own website, quote unquote, for your business. But we take a different approach to websites. A lot of websites are like they're essentially like brick walls where like if a visitor or a customer landed on your website, they need to hunt around for what they're looking for. There's a lot of things on the page that aren't conducive to actually making a sale or like exchanging value on the website.
Right.
And so we eliminate all that clutter. We get right to what is the sales message, what's the value proposition, and then what is their next steps on how to actually transact with your business so that they
Yeah.
exchange their dollars or their contact information and get that value in return from your
Yeah.
business. And
So,
so, oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
So it sounds like simplifying it down to where here's what I do, here's who I am, here's what I can do for you, and here are your next steps. Plain and simple. And I feel
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
you simplify that process, then you'll most likely get more customers, higher paying customers, more, leads to what you want to do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's incredible, dude, because I feel like a lot of people get overwhelmed with websites and online marketing and Facebook ads, and they don't know if what they're doing is working or not, or if it is, like how long is this going to work for? And then when it stops working, what do I do next? So it sounds like what you do with your clients is just really, really cool. I keep using that word because it is cool. I mean,
Yeah.
helping clients make more money and escape their corporate job or their 9 to 5 job so they have more freedom, spend more time with their family, go on vacations more often, and just live a way better life, right?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, Johnny here. Sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you so much for being here on my podcast. If you guys are enjoying the episodes and the conversations that I'm having with these special guests, please go ahead and like this video and hit that subscribe button so that you guys can see our future episodes. I know there's a ton of different podcasts and episodes that you could be listening to or watching right now. So, once again, thank you so much for being here and supporting us. All right. Now, back to the show. That
Well,
is,
there's a whole nother half to like to what we're talking about here, which is like there's the client side of things. So
yeah.
on top of my job and role I've had with ClickFunnels for the last decade, I've also had a unique opportunity to leverage like the ClickFunnels platform to go out and help other people. Now, the majority of the time, I'd say like over the last 7 years or so, I took a lot of like people would come up to me and they're like, "Hey, Jimmy, I love ClickFunnels. I love everything that you guys are talking about. I'm totally bought in and sold in on the mission. Like, I just don't have time to do the thing. I don't know what I don't know. Is there a way that we can work together so that I can get this propped up faster so I can go and like do the thing that I do really, really well? I don't want to take the time to learn the software." I'm like, "Yeah, you got it. Absolutely." So
Yep.
that creates an opportunity for mutual benefit where I can like come in and like build their thing for them for some money, and I can help them launch their product or service or whatever out faster for them. So the thing is that like for the last 7 years ish, I've been very like passive about that. I've kind of like the deal, basically the deals that land in my lap were just like, yep, and then like whatever I thought was like a fair price for my time to help, and then exchange and then go.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I would say that in the last year, I made a huge radical shift. That's actually how you and I got introduced, is that we are both part of a coaching program
Yep.
that leverages like very valuable one-to-one conversations and uh, empathy-driven like conversations and understandings and a way to actually exchange value at a much higher level
Yep.
than just like here's a grand, here's a funnel, here's 2 grand, here's a funnel and a membership site and like
Yeah.
things like that. It's like no. Like let's go even bigger. Let's play bigger.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's kind of the massive shift that I've done that has genuinely, even like down to the revenue and dollar amount, 10x my business.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that like when you first got started, when you were like 18 through 20, like the first 2 years, you probably didn't 100% know what you were doing, but you knew that maybe you were in the right area, met some really cool people. Russell Brunson tapping you on the shoulder. It's like, okay, well, now I'm not going to wash the shoulder anymore because it's
basically.
very, very valuable.
I think I
Which
still
is
have the Vox somewhere. I've paid for Voxer Pro all this time so that they never delete my messages because somewhere back in my conversation with Russell it was him being like, "What if you were my funnel building assistant?" And I'm like jumping up and down, like,
yes.
"Yes, yes."
How did this happen? That is really cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, over the last 10 years, I know that you have seen a lot of success. You've made a lot of success for your clients, but I also know that you, Jimmy, probably have some core values that did not change at all over the last 10 years, right? Can you talk a little bit about like what those values are and like why they're important to you?
I think I think that something that has been baked inside of me, and I'll give credit where credit is due, is probably something that God put inside of me because it was going to be um, crucial and impactful throughout every phase of my life, um, was that I help people. And it's funny, I actually found out a little more on Josh's podcast because he kind of like coaxes and teases these things out of you that like, and I not only help people, but I also fix things. And I use that language and identifying language a lot. So I help people and I fix things. And it's something that really got highlighted kind of just before joining that coaching program and making these radical shifts in my life is that I read Simon Sinek's Start with Why. When I read that book, what I found out is that like some of the most or the majority of the most successful brands and companies in the world or missions and movements, they all start with some kind of like purpose-driven why.
Right.
And I knew that like I help people, but I never put it like on pen and paper or made it a stamp or like a badge that I'd wear on a shirt or anything like that. Like I help people. That's a core value. And finally I was like, what if this instead of just being like a compulsory thing, what if it became like the driver, like the core value, the mission, the purpose? Like what if that was like at the center of everything? And as soon as
Yeah.
I read Simon Sinek Start with Why, identified that and then gave myself like a statement around it, that's when everything changed because now the entire purpose of that book is like, hey, after you've read this book, if you're going to go out and do anything else, it better be through the lens of that why. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your customers' time, you're wasting everybody's time because you're not going to operate at the level of impact and significance that you're really looking for in your business,
If
right?
you don't know your why.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Which is so
So
important. Yeah.
so my why ended up being like, okay, yes, I help people, right? But why do I help people? It's like, okay, well, at my core, I believe that humans should be left better than we found them. It was weird because I was on these walks. I was doing 75 hard at the time. And I was on these walks and I was like, akin to a public restroom, humans should be left better than we found them. And I was like, okay, yeah, jokes aside, like you should actually like you should take care and steward and foster the relationships with these people on
Yep.
earth. Like it's literally kind of like a commandment from God that love thy neighbor, right? As you love
Yep.
yourself.
Yeah.
So that's inside of me, core value, and now I get to express that core value out through things like entrepreneurship, my podcast, my business, just all those different avenues.
Yeah. I love that, dude. And when I get a personal training client, the first thing we do is we got to figure out your why. because I know you want to lose weight, I know you want to feel healthier, but like, why do you want to do that? There needs to be an emotional, like, core reason why this is important to you. And it's not just for you, it could be for
Yeah.
other people, it could be for like where you see yourself in the future. And I think that translates really well into business as well. It's like, yeah, I like helping people and I want to make sure they live a better life, but like, why do I like doing this? So I love how you said that one of your core values is like helping people and like how God has kind of put you on this path.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be honest, I didn't really grow up with a super religious background until I moved to Colorado. Then my wife and I started going to church every single week, and I just kind of figured out my why, like my purpose, why I like doing this. And I feel like a lot of people who work in a corporate job who maybe don't love it so much, they've kind of lost their why. They have lost their purpose and they're kind of just
Yeah.
going through the rut of every day, clocking in, clocking out, going home, going to bed, doing the same thing. And for us, it's just different, which
Yeah.
is that's really really cool. That's
I
awesome.
I definitely well the thing is that for a lot of people who aren't as like we'll say like synchronized or like aligned with their why and like their profession doesn't exactly line up with their why,
Yeah.
guess what? There's another 16 hours in the day. And I know you got to sleep a little bit, but like that's what passions and hobbies are for. Like go chase after that. And eventually,
Yeah.
maybe there an opportunity will come along. You'll get figuratively tapped on the shoulder to go do something uh very aligned with your purpose and your why and your the things that excite you. And so like
Yeah.
good thing you've spent the last 8 years not just in your like in your corporate job just doing the thing you needed to like to pay the bills, right? But you've also spent your spare time preparing yourself for that moment where you're figuratively tapped on the shoulder and asked to do a very
Yeah.
important thing specific to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So to our viewers who
So
are watching
yeah,
this right now, can you just imagine if like Russell Brunson or Elon Musk or even Donald Trump. Now, whatever with Donald Trump doesn't matter if you're right or left, but like even if one of these celebrities or famous people tapped you on the shoulder, were like, "Hey, can you do this job for me? I'll pay you this amount of money. Can you do it for me?" Do you think most people would kind of just drop their job because I'm like, "Oh, well, this person wants to pay me a lot of money to do this one thing real quick, and it's actually something that I want to do." Right? So you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what's going to happen. And maybe one day something happens to you and then it kind of just takes off. Right?
yeah.
Do you feel like that's what happened with you?
Um, Not really. I so first off, what you're describing can absolutely happen. Like I'm not negating that.
Yeah.
That's just not exactly what happened to me. But for me, it was like I I was gonna go like play baseball and be an accountant or an engineer or whatever. Like I was gonna go to college. I was gonna get a job. I was gonna go study computer science, but I was like, well, I can go the engineering route, architecture route. Like I just
Mhm.
have a brain for that. I'm a very like systems oriented brain. And so yeah, like I it was literally just saying yes to one opportunity that was kind of in alignment with a passion of mine that tripped me into the next opportunity and tripped me into the next opportunity and the next one. Um,
Yeah.
so for anyone who's like in the waiting period, because I didn't really have a waiting period, so that's why I'm like, it's kind of yes but no. But
Yeah.
for anyone who's in the waiting period, like don't wait. Spend your time on that thing that is your passion. Like even if it's dumb, like it can be like I, I don't want to knock on anyone's passions, but what if it's like model trains?
Right.
And then the world-renowned expert on model trains found your little Instagram and was like, "Hey, I need you to come out for this expo. Like, pay for your flights. We'll do all this stuff," and it launches your next career. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be insane?
Yeah.
Now replace model trains with like anything, fitness, like deep, meaningful conversations,
Yep.
speaking
Even
from
like even
stage,
like
like
something simple like bartending. Like I know a lot of
bartending.
yeah, like I know a lot
Yeah,
of people like bartending's fun, dude. You meet a lot of people, you make some good money. Like I know you're on your feet a lot and you probably work some long hours, but like if you love doing it, then you're gonna love working. And that's gonna be your
yeah.
why. That's gonna be your passion, right?
Dude, you know what I could totally see is if somebody was, let's say you even are a bartender, but you got into bartending because you can make good cash, but you actually loved mixology. So that's something that I've always kind of been interested in. Is like, well, how do you craft these like perfect drinks, these like
Crazy looking,
amazing drinks, right?
delicious drinks. Yeah.
And then you have an Instagram that where you like craft with mixology, and then Bacardi comes along and is like, "Hey, we've got this like huge expo coming along. Will you come and craft cocktails for it?" It's like, dude,
Dude, I see
wouldn't
that
that
all
be
the
yeah,
time, even on like TikTok. I've seen people like become famous on TikTok because they posted some weird crap on TikTok about, look at this drink I made, or like, look at this joke I just told my dad, or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you see these people in commercials. It's like, well, now these people are famous. Now they have a lot of money. It's because they just
yeah,
posted and started doing things that they actually love to do. And even though it may be slow towards the beginning, you love what you do, so you're going to keep doing it. And then
yeah.
you never know where it's going to go. I like how you talked about that waiting period, right? Like people are like waiting for an opportunity or whatever, and then even if they do present themselves, they might not take it because it's either scary or it's not safe or whatever, right?
So
So
I'll
when you first, yeah, go ahead.
really fast. Well, while you finish your thought, this is actually it's a quote that Russell told me, and it ended up being like my favorite quote. So it's Winston Churchill figuratively tapped the shoulder. Let's see what pops up here.
Okay.
So, okay, here's the quote. The reason why I have this like outlook or opinion on the matter is literally because Sir Winston Churchill has this quote. To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered a chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted pop-up ads. A special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour.
Everyone heard that, right? That was awesome. That was
Yeah,
incredible. And I feel like a lot of people might not like I said earlier, it's scary to take opportunities that you don't know if they're going to work out or not. But sometimes you just got to take a leap of faith and just trust the
yeah,
process, and you got to just jump into it with 2 feet and just go with it, which is something that I did with Josh because I just met him, our current business coach. I didn't know really who he was, to be honest. Like I didn't know who he was. I found his Instagram page. We booked a call. I paid for the call, which was already scary enough because now I got to pay to
right?
talk to someone who I don't even know or what they do. But he just has this like toxic, healthy toxic way about him that was just so intriguing. And so that's why I reached out and I was like, dude, what you do sounds different, but it sounds like it could be a lot of fun and it sounds like it also could work. So that's why I paid him and we started working together and it's definitely been life changing. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you
I
like
think
and
I think it's
dislike?
I was
Uh-huh.
really fast. I think the like Josh's style is like it's infectious is probably the like a word we're looking for there.
Yeah.
Infectious in the way that like because of how he shows up and how he shows up in power, it's like, yeah, that I
Yeah.
need that skill because if I can learn that skill, then I can show up in power in the lane that I'm like called to serve in, and I can affect more change and amplify my impact
Yeah,
in that way.
for sure.
But I'm absolutely tracking with like what you're talking about there.
And Josh is such a unique guy. Like he is himself 100%. He doesn't hide things or sugarcoat things. Like he says what he
Right.
wants to say, and if people don't like it, then I don't really care. But I think that's what makes him so attractive and what makes him so good at his job is because he is himself all the
Right.
time, which
Yeah.
I encourage people to do because if you're hiding who you are, you might miss opportunities, you might not get onto the path that you want to get on, and just everything we just spoke about. Um, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's absolutely right for sure.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah,
sorry, I cut you off a second ago. Like what question
yeah.
were
I
you
was just
asking?
curious, dude. Like over the last like 10 years or so that you've been doing this, what's been the thing that stood out the most in terms of like what you actually enjoy doing?
Oh. It's the customer of my customer. Um, like building funnels, like it used to have this like allure to me. Like, oh, look how cool this is, or like, look what the site can do, or like, look at this, like the glow on the button and the curve and like all this stuff. And it's like, eventually that kind of starts to fade away as you like build up your skill and your craft and on like how good you get at the thing that you do.
Yeah,
And then it was like, oh, well, my my customer's actually the one out there that's driving a ton of impact and change. And it's like, it's my job to basically like become the megaphone for them, that like they were on a pedestal shouting into an open mall. And now it's like, I just handed them the PA system, and now they can get on the ears of every single person around and talk about the thing that's actually going to drive impact and change in
Yeah.
their customers' lives. So for me, the thing that really lights me up is like, 'cause I have a client who, um, she is a pelvic floor therapist.
Okay.
She has a brick and mortar studio, and she's able to drive, like, if I'm going to use a visual scale. Sorry for anyone who's listening on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but just imagine like a dot in the center of the screen, and they get to drive this much change. And then after they work with me, we get to build out course and community for them and digitally distribute their value. Then it's like the dot expands really, really massive, right? Because they get
Yeah.
to push their message out to more people. So for her, it was like she only got to work with so many people because she literally has a physical location where she sees people, and like they come in and get the help and transformation directly from her. Now we've built out a program for her where they can get that, not just the video instruction, like information, but to help actually drive the transformation, there's coaching calls so that they're in proximity to the coach. And then there's also accountability, where they get on the call and they post their homework, they post their results, they post their questions. They're engaging back and forth with everyone. And being able to build out something like that, now it's like, okay, that is driving the change in the customer of my customer. And that's the part
Yeah.
that actually lights me up.
That is awesome. That's really, really cool. And I have a very similar story because I've been doing personal training and coaching for over 10 years now. And I used to work in a physical gym, right? The unfortunate thing is the only clients that I have access to are people who go to that gym, right?
Right.
And they're already paying for a gym membership, so it's really hard to convince them to now also pay for a personal trainer, right? So when
Yeah.
COVID hit and I took my business online, my dot exploded because now I have clients all over the world, right? People
Yeah.
helping out people in Canada and South Africa and various states in the United States. So I 100% know what you mean. So anyone who's listening, if you have this one little dot and you feel kind of constricted or stuck, it's almost like you need to find what's next. What can take this dot and kind of explode it so that I get more clients, more traffic, higher paying clients, better
Yeah.
clients, right? So what do
I
you
think that
dislike?
what, oh, okay. Man, what do I dislike?
I'm not trying to discourage anyone to get into this kind of stuff, but like obviously there's going to be some things that you don't like doing. That's probably part of the process, but maybe some things that you don't like doing.
Mm,
Do, do, do,
that's really tough because there's so there's so many perks to what I do.
do.
Selfishly and also like for other people. So I would say that like something that I'll say that bothers me is when people don't move with a sense of urgency.
Mm,
Um, like I made a just not to tie it into exactly this, but like I have issues when people aren't like living as close to like 100% as possible.
mm,
Um, the day and age that we live in is absolutely insane. Like literally like that question that you just asked the audience a second ago is like, does your dot feel really small? Like, what's the next thing that's going to actually explode your dot, like amplify your change and impact? Like,
yeah.
there's people out in the world that aren't searching for that, that they're entirely complacent with exactly where they are and that things are fine. And it's perfectly okay if you need to spend a season of time in complacency or being content.
Or
As long as you
just
have the
being comfortable with what they're doing.
exactly.
Yeah.
So as long as you have the plan and intention of like, I'm I will change, and like you're not put on this earth to stay the same. You're put on this earth to change. Like it's built into your DNA every single day. Every 7 years, you're a new person. Thanks, autophagy. Um,
Yeah,
but
skin cells regenerate. So the skin cells you have now are not the same as the ones from 7 years ago.
Right.
Little
So if
fun
you
fact.
don't, yeah, if you don't change along with that, like
Hmm.
you're, I don't know. I liken it to death. Like if I'm not changing, if I'm not progressing and I'm not growing, I liken it to death. You're
Yeah.
basically sitting still in a grave.
Jimmy, wouldn't you agree that that is super uncomfortable? Like it's not something that people are willing to do. Like when they have issues in their lives with their relationships or money or with their kids or how they react in situations or if they take opportunities or not, it's
Mhm,
because maybe they're not willing to look within, which sucks because you never want to like
mhm.
think that you're at fault, right? But sometimes people are, and you got to
Yeah.
like look within and be like, I need to focus on this and change for for me so that I can get better, I can grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do something that's in your best self-interest, right?
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I'll put it this way. I had a podcast guest on who his name is Miles, and
And your
he,
podcast is called Better Humans, correct?
yes, it is. Yep,
You guys go
the
check
Better
that
Humans
out. It's pretty
podcast.
cool. Yeah. I've
Yeah,
listened to a couple episodes. It's really good.
thanks, man. I appreciate you. Um, so we had Miles on, and we were talking about all this stuff. So Miles he's a performance coach, right? But he's also a master NLP. I can't remember what NLP stands for, but it's basically like the brain science of like why humans do the things that they do,
Okay.
um, which operates at like a conscious level, but also at a subconscious level. And he goes, Jimmy, the problem is never the problem. It's always the perception of the problem that is the problem. It's not the
Mm.
problem out in front of you, external, and I'm reaching out in front of me for anyone
Yep.
who's not watching the video. It is like I'm pointing at my eyeballs now. It is your perception of the problem that is the problem. And in the same way, what it's like, dude, it's one of those, it's Pandora's box because once you hear that and you like embody it and like become that, then nothing external to you is ever the problem. It is always your perception of the problem. Now
Yep.
I can't unsee that. I can't unhear that. It basically is like a rule in my head now. Um,
Yeah. Or in
and
other
I
words,
guess
it's having a different mindset.
that's correct. Yeah.
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 And
Have a
when
different mindset about the issue.
yeah, and when I first got into online marketing and entrepreneurship, when I hired my first business coach, I'm now on my fourth, by the way. Um, the first thing we talked about was we got to handle your mindset. And I always thought was like, dude, don't tell me about that. Just tell me how to make money. Tell me what I need to do. Give me the steps so I could just do the steps and I can move on and make money. But like he was like, we got to dial in your mindset because if you're not thinking right, if you're not perceiving situations in a healthy way, you're
Yep.
not going to be able to scale or grow or have your business take off.
It's actually ironic because that's exactly how I felt up until about like age 23 or 24. Because I started learning about all this stuff, like making money online from a very early age. And then it was like, okay, so based on this, like if I just do all this stuff, I should be a millionaire by age 23. Like it just makes sense. And like,
Yeah.
of course, the math makes sense, but then what gets in the way? Like me and my wants and desires, like my wants to go out and party more than I want to work on a business, my wants to appear very important in front of other people as opposed to building the systems and operations that produce cash time and time again, right?
Yeah.
Like so then 23 and 24 came around and I went, oh my God, I'm out of money. And this is I used to live down in I live in North Georgia. I used to live down in the city. And around that time, I was working at my job. I was trying to like work with clients and I blew all my money, all of it. I
Mm.
have the screenshot of 46 cents in my bank account. And that's when I packed up out of the house I was living in and move back in with my family. And that only lasted like 4 or 5 months because love my family, just can't spend that much time with them anymore as an adult.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, that was basically like because I did nothing to change my mindset, and my perception of problems, I I wasted so
Yeah.
much.
It
Like,
just kind of
and especially like if you think about like investments and stuff like that, like if I had done the work, oh my gosh, dude. Okay, I'll put it this way.
okay.
I used to own 3 Bitcoin.
Okay.
at $279 per Bitcoin.
Okay.
I had to sell them to make rent.
Rough. So that's a pretty low point.
Yeah.
When you're in your mid 20s, you have no money. You did have money, you blew through it. Now you're gonna move in back with your parents.
Yep.
How did that feel?
Oh, the worst. Absolutely the worst. But the cool thing is that I'm not 18 with no skills anymore.
Right.
I'm 23 with some highly valuable skills.
Right.
No money, right? So now shift the mindset, like get a coach, watch some videos. YouTube University is absolutely free, and there's a ton of really great creators out there that post a lot of really good stuff. Like, go binge YouTube and enhance your skills, change your mind, change your perception of the problem because the problem's not the problem, it's your perception of the problem, right? Like go do all that stuff, and you'd be surprised how when it's time to step back up to the plate and start swinging again, like you approach problems differently. You change like the things that you thought were important before are no longer important. And now you're kind of like free and clear to operate in a way that's more conducive to actual growth than when you were, I will say, like distracted with like
Yep.
parties and girls and all that stuff, right?
Do you focus on mindset with your clients?
You, I'm not a therapist. I don't claim to
Neither
be
am
one,
I. I'm not
but
certified or nothing.
boy, do I act like one sometimes.
Well, my clients sometimes will approach me with all these issues, and
hmm
I'm just a personal trainer. And yes, I do work on mindset with my clients because a lot of them come to me thinking they're at a low point, they're not good enough, they don't know what to do, and so a lot of them either give up on their health and fitness and just kind of like wing it, or they look inward, they think about their mindset, they invest in a coach, and then it's like you said, you are looking at the situation, let's say through a different lens, if you will, but looking at it in a completely different way to where you are good enough, you can do this. Yeah, it's going to be challenging, but that's all part of the growth, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like people don't learn unless they are challenged. And that's a big thing. And the other thing is, dude, it's like it's uncomfortable. People don't like being uncomfortable. That's why people don't like working out. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. And for me, I'm definitely more athletic, and so that's never really been a problem for me. But like growing as an entrepreneur and figuring out my mindset with like what I want to do and how I can take my business to the next level, that's really uncomfortable for me.
hmm
So connecting with people, talking with people, trial and error, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, although it takes time, just like health and fitness, you kind of figure it out and you kind of see what's going to work, and that kind of motivates you to keep on going. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's in the especially in that the facets of your life where you don't often flex those muscles. And I
Right.
use that analogy because you're Johnny and you're super ripped, right? Um, but like in the places like in business and business coaching, you weren't
Mhm.
flexing any muscles there. So then when it was time to flex the muscles, you're shaky, you're Bambi, you're like, I don't know, it's like uncertain, it's unclear. But if I was like, hey, you need to go press those 50s, you're like, how about 60s? And then you like crank it out, right?
Right.
Um, and I bet you I, I don't wish this upon you. I'm not saying that like anything is going to happen, but there may come like a rocky time in your marriage where like you have to make uncomfortable decisions, or maybe even with like your in-laws or that side of the family, or maybe on your side of the family, there may come uncomfortable times. And if you don't flex that communication muscle, and be in constant alignment with your spouse, then things could get really rocky, right? Like, and I'm not
Right.
saying that because I want it to happen to you. I'm not like anything like that, right? But like,
But it is a reality, and I
it's
feel like
absolutely a possibility.
yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of people do struggle with that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, for sure. So, all right, Jimmy, I'm gonna ask you something. Not business related. You were talking about Marvel earlier. Are you a Marvel guy or are you a DC guy?
Come on. Let's
Come
be
on.
honest here.
Well,
Come
some
on.
people are going to listen to this and be like, "Oh, DC all the way."
And you know what? I commend you for your undying passion to a completely dead and rotting comic series. Like
Now,
the old days are behind you.
here's my opinion. I love Marvel. I think it's genius. I think it's so entertaining. DC is whatever, but I will say I like DC villains way more. That's my thing.
That's
And
but that's the issue.
my wife and I play a lot of Lego games on our PlayStation, and DC
Okay.
Villains is one of our favorites because with the Joker and Riddler and like, Scarecrow and all those other people, it's actually a lot of fun. It's pretty cool.
That's the exact issue is that they they do have some very nuanced and I'll say like thoughtfully crafted villains, but their superheroes are like, come on, they should just like
Yeah.
auto win by default. And so there's no struggle, there's no contention, and it's like it makes for very bad storytelling,
Do you ever
right?
watch Gotham, the TV show?
Mm, No,
Oh,
I don't.
dude.
I actually don't watch a ton of TV anymore. Probably about the last 4 years, my wife and I cut out TV.
You guys watch episodes of anything? Office, Parks and Rec, New Girl, anything like that?
Yes. Do you watch New Girl?
With you. We watch it all the time. All the
Okay.
time.
Okay. It's now our job from here on out to quote as much New Girl together as we possibly can. And
Okay, so
yes,
who's your favorite
I
character in New Girl? Please give me the right answer.
you know who it is.
Schmidt?
Oh, actually, I was gonna say Winston.
Oh, he's cool. I will say
So
Winston had the most transformation in character throughout the entire show, which is awesome. Uh,
yes, they had to like
Schmidt.
figure out how he fits in because the actor Damon I can't remember what his name the guy who plays Coach
Oh
had
yeah,
like entered and then needed to exit for
he
some
was in the
stuff and then
pilot. Yeah,
eventually
he was in the pilot, and then he had to leave for a whole season or something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I love the character of Winston. I also love the character of Schmidt. And in my group of friends, I'm often referred to as a Schmidt because
How come?
I can be very particular about a lot of things. Um,
If you
just
guys
like
haven't seen New Girl, you gotta go watch it. It is so funny. And the thing is, we've watched it through a couple of times, and every time we rewatch it, it gets funnier, and we see, oh, dude, I don't have enough fingers.
nine
Um,
times.
yeah, you kept count. That's crazy. Yeah, Schmidt
Yeah,
was definitely one of my least favorite characters when we first started watching the show. But like I said, we've rewatched it a couple of times, and he's grown on me. It's If you guys haven't seen that show, go watch it. It's really really funny.
yeah.
Yeah. So I know you don't watch TV a lot. I know you working a lot, but like, what do you do when you're not working? What kind of
It
hobbies you
is
got?
so for a season of time, I am a workaholic. And right now is my season of workaholic, pretty much because we have baby number two on the way, and I am 7 weeks out
Oh, congrats, dude.
from yeah, thank you from my wife and I having baby number two. I decided that, and I had actually had this in a conversation with Sarah Allred, who you should absolutely have on your podcast next.
If she would
She's
respond to
incredible.
me, Sarah, if you're watching this,
I'll I'll make sure that she
I know
comes on.
I know she's really busy, but I would love to have
She
a
was really,
conversation with her.
she was probably in Mexico, honestly. Like
Yeah,
anyway, anyhow,
yeah, I know.
um, so the the thing is like I'm at a certain level of like difficulty and capacity for stuff, um, where I'm at right now, which is like job and business and spouse and dating my spouse and like and loving her, and then baby number one and all the things that go into being a father for baby number one. And in
Mhm.
7 weeks, I will now be a father of two, and that's going to force me to like increase my capacity. Like my
Yeah,
capacity has to expand in
right.
order to keep up with stuff. So for this period of time, um, I have gone super into business because it will never be this easy ever again. As soon as
Mm,
I have that second child, I'm in, boom, a new level of difficulty, right? So for this season, I'm all in on business in my spare time. So
yeah.
what my day basically looks like is wake up, get the baby, get him ready, go downstairs, cook breakfast for the baby and my wife, um, prep coffee and anything else, and then run out the door, go start working. And then I work until about 4:30, drive home, go grab the baby and like play with him for the afternoon, go on walks, like do anything like active, get him outside and stuff like that. Um, and then go inside and either my wife is in charge of dinner or I'm in charge of dinner on any given day, and then play with the baby, play with the dog in the backyard again, and then go put him to bed. Once the baby goes to bed, I open the laptop back up and I work for a few more hours.
Gotcha.
That's my day right now. And that's
Crazy.
because I've chosen for that period of time that I'm going to punch the lever forward. I'm going to like full throttle this thing. And then things are going to change. And when they change, they'll change, and we'll figure out what that new reality looks like. But I will say that in the past, because you were asking about like hobbies and stuff, dude, I have some of the fun, like the most fun hobbies, like kayaking, camping, axe throwing, wakeboarding, just like I used to ride motorcycles.
Oh,
Um, a,
cool.
re- a really bad accident took me off motorcycles in 2022, and I'll return to it
Oh,
one
dude, I
day.
didn't know
But
that. That was like 3 years ago. That's crazy.
yes,
Wow.
yeah, dude, I'll show you sometime. I have a really gnarly scar right here from the surgery, but basically,
It makes you even cooler, dude.
yeah, well, that's what my wife said, and I was like, if I had the option of having it or not having it, I'd rather not have it, right? But like, she's like,
Yeah.
well, it looks cool. Like she's like, it looks hot. I'm like, "O- okay,
Looks
sure."
like you're a battle warrior.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got stabbed with an asphalt road in the Great War of
Well, dude,
2022.
I'll be straightforward with you, dude. You are an entrepreneur. You're building a business. You've been doing this forever. You're a dad, oh, soon to be a dad of two, right? You are a warrior. That's a lot to juggle, and it's I can
Yeah,
imagine it's hard, but you're making it work, which is great.
doing my best.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah. So, for those of you who are listening, Jimmy, how can people get in contact with you if they have any questions about building funnels, make more money, escaping their corporate job, things like that? What's a good way for people to get in contact with you?
Facebook. Facebook's like my main platform. That's where I publish the most.
Okay.
Um, and I chose that one because it's just the place where I feel like humans talk to humans, and not
Hmm.
like in a like braggadocious way, like this is my perfect life on Instagram, or like this is the way I'm trying to entertain you on TikTok. It's just like people trying to talk to people.
Uh-huh.
And so I
Like
really love that.
real stuff, not the showy stuff that looks amazing. Because I feel like people compare themselves a lot to other people, and then they think negatively about themselves, and it
Mhm.
demotivates them.
Yeah.
Versus if you just like see someone and their real side, it's a little bit easier to like work yourself up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. And so that's kind of why I've always had like an Instagram and like other social profiles, and like you can go follow me on there, like I'm pretty sure it's like at Jimmy James Allen on Instagram. But if you just go search for Jimmy Allen on Facebook or facebook.com/Jimmy James Allen,
Jimmy James
um,
Allen. Okay.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
I
my
think you're
Facebook.
right. Yeah, that's what you
You'll
said
see
earlier.
a photo of me on my Facebook. So hopefully the dots connect.
Cool.
Yeah, and then just shoot me a message. Like I'm on Messenger all the time, and very very responsive there. So ask me any questions. Send me a new girl meme. There's millions of them. Send me a GIF, and I'll respond to you with even better GIFs, and we'll just go back and forth
You're a gift
talking about new
guy.
girl.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. All right, Jimmy. I wanted to say, hey, thanks a lot for being here, bro. Final question for you. Where do you see yourself in like the next 5 or 10 years? Where do you see yourself growing until, well, you're 32 now, right?
I'm actually 30.
Oh, you're 30. My bad. My bad. We're the
Yeah.
same age. Cool. Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Um, yeah. So like
So
by
in
the time you're 40,
5 years, oh, 40? Dude,
yeah,
okay.
let's do 10.
So it's really weird. I have this funny, I mentioned the motorcycle accident. Like when people ask me about like 10-year plans, I'm like, dude, AI is gonna own us in 10 years. Like, what's the point? But then like when it gets down to like the 5-year range, I'm like, okay, this is getting a little more tangible, or
Mhm.
like it's not as like abstract. Like, what do you do when you're 40? Like, I don't know, like go to baseball games with my kids, hopefully, and still try to work. It doesn't feel like it's taxable, but
Right.
the 5-year goal is like I have stuff lined up for us to be able to start acquiring homes and just doing like a very like passive multi-decade real estate play.
That's
And
cool.
then part of that is like as we have our home now, our home is uniquely positioned to be somewhere that is like very valuable for a single family rental. And so I'll sell that home to my company and that becomes a rental property. And we go out and find the next rental property, which we want it to be like an Airbnb cabin type of place, right? So
Right.
then I go into North Georgia and I find that next property that becomes the primary residence. And then when we're ready to move into the next home, it's go sell it to the company and it becomes the next rental property or
Yep.
short-term rental. And so 5 years from now, I'm hoping that we're in that next property, that it has a yard, fenced in, so the dog can just like freely go in and out. We get to play sports in the yard. I get to play with my boys, and go like ride bikes everywhere. And yeah, like family wise, I'm really like that's where I'm moving is like
Mhm.
having the space and the like ideal property to start rolling and like playing to that real estate vision. But it's perfect for like the phase of life that my family is in, and so we get to like be a closer, tight, more tightly knit family.
Cool. That's awesome, dude. Now, the one thing that I wanted to share that I wanted to ask you as well, for those who are listening, still listening all the way to the end of this episode, um, I think I usually try to give like one like mindset or like healthy lifestyle tip to those who are listening, right? And I think based off of our conversation, dude, what I really love about one, what you're doing in your business, but also what you're wanting to do in life is you plan ahead, right? You were talking about making sure I'm in business mode now so that I can be more free with my family later. Talking about building all the systems now that you want to do so that in the future you can have an easier life, right? I think that's incredible. And that's my mindset tip for anyone who's watching. Doesn't matter what goals you have, doesn't matter what you're trying to do, lose weight, make more money, have more kids, or meet a spouse, or whatever it is. I think planning ahead and having that mindset to remove yourself from your current situation and think about the road that lies ahead is really really important. Um, just so like because I feel like a lot of people like live day to day and that's all they're thinking about, right? They're not thinking about this upcoming weekend. They're not thinking about next month. They're not thinking
Mhm.
about daily, weekly, or monthly goals. And sometimes I ask people like, "What are your goals?" And they're like, "Dude, don't talk to me about future goals and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, I know this is a weird topic, but like it's important to like actually be mindful of this type of
Mhm.
stuff so that 5 years don't go by and you are still struggling with the same things, right?"
Yeah, I would recommend that like if you struggle with the idea or concept of a goal, which actually I'm someone who does, like I really struggle with that because like what if I don't hit it? Like
Right.
and then yeah, like and I'm somebody who doesn't like to lose. I'm very competitive. And so what I've done personally is I just ask myself, what do I want? And like train myself to unabashedly answer like we'll say like if there was a like a quarrel or like a bicker with my spouse, like instead of like getting defensive and fighting back and trying to like be
Which
the
is
one who's
something that I
right,
struggle with. Yep.
right? I stop like I have to force myself to stop and be like, okay, I'm in the situation. What do I want? And then when I know what I want, which is like I want to be okay and be in right relationship with my spouse, it halts anything else because I know that like if I go down that road, I don't get what I want. But if I go down this road, I do get what I want. And usually that's like, okay, stop, apologize, even if you're not wrong, show empathy, ask questions, gain better understanding,
Listen.
and then
Yep.
that usually leads to better results, right? And so that's a simple one because it's very like practical for I mean for anyone who does have a spouse, you guys are not always going to agree. There's a reason that iron sharpens iron is a verse in the Bible, right? You're supposed to grind up against I'm gonna reel that one back. But you guys are supposed to bump up against each other and butt heads,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um, but in other things too, like what do you want? And if you can just like on pen and paper, like, I want this, I want to feel good. Okay, cool. So if you do this thing, are you going to feel good? Probably not. What if you do this thing? Yes, go do that. All right, here's the steps to go do that. Right.
Yeah.
That helped me as somebody who struggled with the idea of like, go set a goal. I'm like, I'm not putting that thing down on paper. What if I don't achieve it?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a line in Office where Ryan goes, I don't like committing to things, but I also don't like not committing to things. So yes, I will go to your wedding, but I also will let you know if I'm not going. So I think it all comes down to what we were talking earlier. It's about your mindset,
Mhm.
right? And I feel like
Yeah.
because of how busy the world is and how crazy the world can be, that's something that people put on the back burner sometimes. It's like, what do you want to do in your life? And
Yeah.
like, how can you shape your mindset to getting what you want? That's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's really
Get what you want.
powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, Jimmy, I really, really appreciate you, man. This was a blast for sure. You guys go follow Jimmy because he is super cool. He posts a lot of really awesome stuff. If you want to ask him questions about funnels or anything like that, you can reach out to him. Listen to his podcast, which I did a couple of days ago, and it's really, really cool. Better Humans. That's on Spotify, right?
Yeah, it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we publish to YouTube as well, like similar to
Okay.
Johnny's podcast here, which I assume this is going to YouTube, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna go to
Okay, yeah.
Spotify as
So
well.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's
Yep.
good. I always encourage people to like watch the video, because like listening to the audio, like if you're in the car, like obviously listen to the audio, but if you have some time to like watch people's faces, watch how they show up and present themselves and like what lights them up or like where they tuck down or anything like that, like go watch people, like get in people's faces, you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd encourage you to go watch Johnny's video.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, dude. If you guys are still watching, please like this video and please subscribe so you guys can see our future episodes. Um, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the next video. So thanks, Jimmy.
Awesome.
Have a good one, bro.
Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate you.